Now, this story covers a lot of ground. It involves Vietnam, the Merritt Parkway, which I'll explain later, and the Big Lie. Now, I'm confident everybody here has a sense about the Vietnam War, but you may not know about the Merritt Parkway. The Merritt Parkway is a really quite beautiful parkway through Fairfield County, Connecticut, from the New York line toward New Haven. And it is known for its unique signage going through. Fairfield County is the richest county in Connecticut, and it goes through some really nice wooded areas. And the median of the Merritt Parkway has dogwood trees. And my grandmother she liked to go for rides on Sundays, and in the spring, she would love to go ride the Merritt Parkway and just see all the beautiful pink and white dogwood blossoms. So it's quite a lovely roadway. And the Big Lie, well, I'll get to that later. Now, in 1968, I went to Vietnam. And to say I went to Vietnam is a little misleading. There were powerful forces of the federal government that insisted on my participation. So there I was, I'm in Vietnam. And when you first get to Vietnam, it takes a while to get acclimated. I mean, literally, used to the climate. It is oppressively hot and sauna humid. I can remember walking off the plane and bumping into something. It was the air. So when you first get to Vietnam, they keep you in an area where you're not yet assigned to your permanent duty station, so you don't know who you're going to be with or anything like that. And for a week or two, while you get acclimated to the climate, it's typical Army stuff. You're running here, you're running there, you're going to orientation sessions and training sessions, and they give you your equipment, your rifle, and a rucksack, and other supplies. And you're going to a lot of orientation sessions. And there was one orientation session that just really, really irritated me. It got me angry. So about 100 of us newbies are marched into this tent, and the sides are rolled up, which in Vietnam was air conditioning. And there are all these folding chairs that are lined up in rows. And there's a stage at the front of the tent, and there's a colonel on the stage. So we all go in there, and we're just hot and dusty and tired. We've been running around all day. It's the middle of the afternoon. Did I mention it was hot? It was hot. And the colonel, the first thing he says to us, he welcomes us to Vietnam. Thank you very much. And then he actually says, you don't have to worry about going home because you are safer in Vietnam than you would be back home in the United States. Interesting thought. Pray tell, continue. He then justified this by saying, the reason you're safer here is in the United States, there are 50,000 deaths on the highway every year. That's true. And in Vietnam, there are only 5,000 combat deaths a year. He said only. People who know me realize that I have, this impulsive streak and a bit of intolerance. And I didn't know what happened. I was on my feet. I had my hands in the air. I said, sir. He said, yes, soldier. I said, in America, there are like 200 million people. And here in Vietnam, there are 500,000 U.S. troops. And I'm sorry, 5,000 out of 500,000 is a much bigger percentage than 50,000 out of 200 million. He did not like this. There was a vein pulsating on his forehead, and he kind of squinted at me, and he said, soldier, percentages, smentages, when you're dead, you're dead. Well, I couldn't argue with either of those statements. And I said, And the rest of the group, my fellow soldiers, they're angry with me. They're yelling at me. They tell me, shut up, sit down. They're laughing at me. They're pointing. So I'm really angry now, and I said, I'll tell you what, sir. I'm no coward, and I'm volunteering for hazardous duty on the Merritt Parkway, and I am ready to go right now. My request was denied. And, I expected him to be angry, and he was angry, and he basically rudely told me to sit down. And what really surprised me was the rest of my fellow soldiers, how angry they were and how upset they were. And I realized it was because of the big lie. They desperately wanted to believe that they were safer in Vietnam than they would be on a highway. And I was attacking that very comforting, incredibly wrong belief. And that's the danger of the big lie. It's so alluring that we are all susceptible to it at one time or another. Thank you.